Perek Shishi of Pirki Avos is not a Mishnah, these are brises. But these brises are put together and put it in a hemshech, in a continuation of Masechta Avos, because there are 6 Shabbosim between Pesach and Shavuos. That's why the Perek starts Shonu Chachamim Bilshoin HaMishnah. It's not Mishnah, but it's the same style as the Mishnah. These are brises. What does a brisa mean? Brisa means all the teachings that were taught outside of Rabbeinu HaKadosh Yeshiva. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi collected all the halachas mishnayos from all the Tanoim of his generation, and they had notes from their Rabbeim, and he compiled Shishis in Mishnah. But then there were other yeshivas and other teachings that were not entered in his academy, and that are called brises. So this Perek is a Perek of brises. Interesting that this whole Perek, there's many mishnayos, many brises, but there are only 4 names in total of this whole Perek that mention only 4 names. It is mentioned Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda in the name of Rabbi, and Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma. 4 names in the whole Perek. There are other halachas without any names. So here we have that a brise and mentions only 4 names. What is the content, the teichen of this Perek? This teichen of the Perek talks about and teaches the chashivas, the importance of learning Torah, and the importance of a Talmud Chacham, those that learn the Torah, and also the kinyan Torah, how to acquire, how is a person supposed to prepare himself to learn Torah in order to understand it and become part of him. And that's why this Perek is also called kinyan Torah. And it's appropriate because before Chag HaShavuos of Matan Torah, we are learning about kinyan Torah. So the Mishnah, we will learn about it. Interesting here, we said that there are only 4 names. The second Mishnah starts, Omar Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Now, interesting enough, Rabbi Shua ben Levi was not a Tana. He was an Amoida of the first generation of the Meroim. Now, Amoida are those who composed the Gemara, not the Mishnayos, or not the Brisa. Mishnah, Brisa, Tosefta, they're all made by Tanoim. But Rabbi Shua ben Levi, since he was the early generation of Amoraim, and he learned by Talmidim of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, so some of his teachings came into the Mishnayos era. Such as now, we find here the second Mishnah of Pirki Avos tells us a statement, a Mishnah of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, which he was an Amoira, but his saying went into the Mishnayos and Brises. The same thing we find that Rabbi Shua ben Levi's Mishnah or Brisa or Amoira entered the Mishnayos, the last Mishnah of all of Shida Mishnah. Mesachet Uktzin, the last Mishnah we find, Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, Asit HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahanchel l'chol echad v'echad b'Yisrael shai oilamos. And the pasuk says, Shenamar lahanchel oyeve yesh. Yesh is the shai 310. So this is a statement of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, and it's put into the last Mishnah of all Shida Mishnah. Now we find about Rabbi Shua ben Levi very important. First of all, he lived very long, had arichas yomim. We also find the Gemara tells us that he met Eliyahu Navi, and he was one who asked Eliyahu Navi, "Amos said Kavasi Mar." Just like we find that the Baal Shem Tov asked, but he asked Eliyahu Navi, "Amos said Kavasi Mar. When are you coming?" And Eliyahu answered him, "Hayoim." And later on, he explained himself, Eliyahu, "I mean Hayoim in Bekolos Ishmo. If you learn Torah, come right away." We find the Gemara tells us that he didn't pass away. Nichnas Chai leGan Eden. He entered in Gan Eden right away. He didn't pass away. Loy Meis. He was a very wealthy man. The Gemara tells us. Rabbi came to him and he served him 24 dishes as a simple weekday meal. We find certain beautiful statements of him about davening. He said to his children, "You want to live long? Go davening in the morning and at night. Make sure to be by the minyan, and that's going to give you arichas yomim." And he was one who said, "Come early to shul in order to be for the asar d'shein of the first 10 of them that make up the minyan." He also said a statement, "Kol ha'oina ame yesh brava b'chol koichoi." A person who answers ame yesh brava of Kaddish with all his might and understanding of kavanah, koirul exardinei. The Bezer Shamayla will rip up any exardina upon him. These are his statements. We find his obviously soul statement. He was one who came up with halacha If you didn't see a good friend in 30 days, you make Shachiyanu. If you didn't see him in 12 months, you make the Bracha Machaya Mesim. In his lifetime, there was no keshes, there was no rainbow scene. The rainbow is a sign that the Eivishter says that it could have been Chas v'Shalom a Mabul, but he promised no Mabul. So just like in the times of Rashbi, there was no keshes, in the time of Rabbi Shmuel Levi, there was no keshes. So what does he say in the second Mishnah? Amar Rabbi Shmuel Levi, B'chol yoyim v'yoyim, every day, Baskel Yitzes Mahar Chodev, a Baskel, a heavenly voice, comes forth from the mountain of Chodev, Umachrezes v'emeres, and announces and says, Wilhelm lebrius, woe to the people, may avoid shall Torah, from the embarrassment of them not learning Torah. Shekol mi she'ino isik b'Torah, anybody who does not occupy himself in learning Torah, Nikra Nosov, he's called censored, separated. He's not within the community. He's excommunicated. He has a zifir, and he continues to say, "She'elacha ben chayred." There's no true free person. El misha isi b'Talmud Torah, the only person who occupies himself with Talmud Torah. So let's analyze a little bit what he's saying. He says here, "B'chol yoyim v'yoyim," every day, and double yoyim v'yoyim. So the Mefarshim explained, because limud HaTorah has to be bitmidus, it has to be b'shkid. It's not that I learn once a week. Every day you have to learn Torah. That's the meaning of the B'chol Yom Yom. And then it says every day a bas girl goes out, the heavenly voice. Interesting that the Tiferes Yisrael Mishnah says that the Chachmei geographic, the scientists, the earth scientists tell us that when you get close to Har Sinai, always, every day, any day, you'll hear voices, you'll hear echoes coming from the mountain. And it seems like somebody said something, and there's echoes till today. Says it very Yisrael, Rabbi Shua ben Levi is telling us, you know what that echo is all about? You come there, you hear an echo of voices. The voices are the bas girl that's telling us, woe for those who don't learn Torah. So there's actually a bas girl coming out today. Now, what does he call a bas girl? What does it mean, a bas girl? Tosfos explains, bas girl means that you don't hear the actual girl itself. You only hear a echo of the voice. And the Tosfos says, just like when you bang something in the air, and you hear the noise not from in front of you, so from something in the distance. Why? You're not hearing the noise itself, you're hearing the echo of the noise. That's called a bas girl. That you hear from something distant. Now, the Rambam writes in Moreh Nevuchim that a bas girl is a lower level than Ruach HaKodesh. It's not Nevuah, it's not Ruach HaKodesh, it's a lower level. And we also have the Rashi's Einiklach, or son-in-law, the Machzor Vitri writes, that a bas girl is not like a malach. A malach is different, even less than a malach. It's a voice of the wind. The wind makes voices, so you hear a voice of the wind. It sounds like somebody said something, but it's actually from the wind. That's called a bas girl. Now we have the question, why is it called a bas girl, not a ben girl? So the Tosfos Yom Tov answers in Yevamos, bas, feminine, symbolizes weakness versus male, which is strong. This voice is a weak voice, and you don't hear it strongly. That's what's called a bas. It's not a strong voice. We also have another pirush that bas also in Aramaic means a measurement, a midah. Because this bas girl, not everybody hears that. Some are zeicha to hear, some are not. So since it's measured, that's what's called bas girl and not ben girl. Who hears this mazel? Who hears this bas girl? And if nobody hears it, what's the point of the bas girl? So Chassidus explains, based on the pasuk in Daniel, that Daniel heard something, but his friends did not hear, who were standing with him, but they trembled. Why did they tremble? Chassidus explains, because even they don't hear, but the neshama hears, the mazel hears, and all of a sudden when a person has an awakening, he doesn't know where it came from. It came from the bas girl, from an awakening. So even though you might not hear it, but something inside of you hears what is saying in this bas girl. The bas girl says, where does it come from? Har Chodev. Why is it mentioned Har Chodev? We know that Mount Sinai had 5 names. Why is over here we mention the name of, instead of Har Sinai, Har Chodev? So I'll give here 3 explanations. First of all, why is Chodev? Because this voice, bas girl, coming out, is crying, is saying a wall about the Churban HaTorah. That's why it calls it Chodev. It's crying out about Churban of the Torah. Another Pirush is because the Gemara says, why is it actually originally called in time of Matan Torah? Why is it called Har Chayre? Because this mountain, Har Sinai, by giving the Torah, brought a Churban to the Ovid of Elizara, to the Goyim, that they did not want to accept the Torah, and we did accept the Torah. Another answer is that this is a shvach. Now the Torah has the strength. The Torah has the strength to destroy all the Chumris Ha'olam and to conquer that the world should be under the guidance of the Torah. So here we have this is the reasoning that we tell them that every Yid, every person, you have the ability to conquer the world, you have the ability to transform the world, and if you don't do that, it's oi. So what is it? What is it? Yeshua Levi says. The Baskel says, oi lahem, woe is to those who are embarrassed to Torah. Why? What does it mean the word oi? Oi is spelled Aleph Vav Yud. Aleph Vav Yud. Aleph is 1, Vav is 6, is 7 total, and Yud is 10, is 17. 17 is also being matri Toiv. Tes, Vav, and Veis. Toiv is Torah. Ain't Toiv ela Torah. So the Yeshua Levi tells us, the Eibush gave you Toiv, the Torah. You don't use the Torah, you don't follow it, then Chas Hashem is going to be oi, woe to you. It's up to us. Either take the Toiv or to have the woe, the oi. What is the pasuk? The Mishnah says, woe to those who embarrass the Torah, because any person, any oisek, it doesn't say any loimed, any koire, any shayna, any oisek is not involved in the occupy himself in learning. Says the Rabbi, a beautiful touch. Oisek reminds of business, asek. A businessman who wants to sell something, he doesn't sit in a store and waits for a client to come in. He puts a sign up, he makes a sale, he advertises, he puts an announcement in the newspaper or in the radio, and he draws people to him. Says the Rebbe, that's the Lashon Eisek B'Torah. Not only sit quietly learn, draw the Torah to, draw the people to you, advertise, publicize that the people should come to you. And that's what the pasuk says. She'elacha ben chayr, there's no free person. Free person from what? From the Yetzer Hara, free from the Yetzer Hara, free from the Chas V'Shalom, the negative judgment against you. You want to get free from all the negative? To get involved in a way of a businessman, how to learn Torah, publicize it, to make sure people more and more come to Torah. There's an interesting Medrash Shmois that says a mashal that a king told one of his subjects, I demand of you to start counting gold coins. A whole day start counting my gold coins of the king. And if you do that every week, I'll pay you a salary for counting the coins. Not only I give you a salary for counting the coins, but the coins will be yours. But if you don't decide to count the coins, I'll punish you. Says the Medrash, same thing as the Avos with Eden. The Avos says to us, here's the mitzvahs, here's the Torah, learn, count the gold coins. And if you count them, I'll pay you for it. Not only I'll pay you for it, I'll give you the gold coins. But if you don't, you get punished. The Avos are helping that we should become ben chayrin by learning Torah, free from all the negative, free from all limitations of all viruses, of all any kind of negativity. How so? Through Eilucha ben chayrin, Elish Mishays B'Torah, to realize that the Eibush gave us those gems. Let's start counting those gems, and we get paid for it, and it'll be ours as well.